Welcome to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group. I'm your host, Jason Pugh, joined, as we always are in the first segment, by the head demon, head coach Brad Laird. And Coach, on the road for the first time in a while this week. Let's quickly transition back to last week. Last home game for a while, Eastern Illinois. Not the outcome you wanted, but, from week to week, steps taken forward for this team.
Yeah, and I think the message, first, very disappointed in the outcome, especially Saturday night, because we had chances that, going into the fourth quarter to win the game at home and understanding what type of win that would have been because, Eastern Illinois is now 4-1 with a top 25 win on the resume, in an out-of-conference game to help the conference, but weren't able to make the plays in the fourth quarter. But, when you dove back into it on Sunday, and you look back at the week, and, we challenged the guys earlier in the week, because consistency we had not been in any, facets, whether on the field or off the field, to where we needed to be. And it was a good week, like I said, both on and off the field. And and then you dove back into the actual X's and O's, and defensively it was easy to see with the naked eye as the game went on that we played well defensively, tackled well, played with great energy, and I thought the whole team played with great energy and great passion. But defense was put in some situations and backs against the wall, able to get out of it, played extremely well, and then you just look at the scoreboard and that'll tell you, again, with the naked eye, what you think offensively, but, you dive into it. We had 5 drives of 10 plays or more, and then another drive that was 7 plays. So 6 drives, 7 plays or more, we had not had in the first 3 games. Now, the points is what it's all about, and we got to create explosives and find ways to do that. Completion percentage was up compared to the first 3 games. So a lot of things that third downs offensively, we were 50%. Going into the game, we were 20%. So a lot of strides, but at the end of the day, against that game is exactly kind of the way we thought it would play out. Kind of a low-scoring game, a boxing match type of match, and you just can't turn the ball over. And, that was our Achilles heel in that game. But, a lot of strides, a very consistent week, and look forward to stacking weeks on top of each other.
I think one of the messages coming in out of that bye week for your team that people didn't see in terms of a Saturday was more on Thursdays. You said it a couple of weeks ago ahead of the Stephen F. game, you can't overcome a bad Thursday practice. And it seemed like as the week went on, you talked about stacking weeks, it was stacking days last week, good Tuesday, good Wednesday, most importantly, a good Thursday, and it showed. It was more of the start you wanted. You didn't finish. You finished with points on your second drive, 3, not 7, but at that point you have a lead, and you're able to build on that at least a little bit, but stacking those days in the week sometimes that people don't see is equally as important as anything that happens on Saturday.
No doubt, and we did, and when we got to Thursday, that was the my challenge to them in the team meeting, because we had not, just like you said, had a good Thursday, and we did some things different, put the shoulder pads back on, and really didn't change the organization of practice, but did put the shoulder pads on, but the guys had a great intensity to learn, and understood different aspects of practice of what we needed to get accomplished, and even Friday and Saturday's walkthrough were spot on, and as we've started the week this week, Sunday in the weight room and Tuesday morning were great. It was the start that we wanted, and we look forward to seeing how the week goes.
You'll go down to a Lamar team now, and as we get into the Southland Conference, and you say it every year, you've said it every year since you've been here. The people before you say it, this isn't any given Saturday kind of league, in any given Saturday anything can happen. And I think a Lamar team that you'll face kind of showed that. They draw an HCU team that goes in 2 weeks ago and up in Southeastern, one of the preseason favorites. Lamar turns around, goes into Houston, and grabs a win there against HCU. So it is really shake up a hat, pull a name out any kind of week.
It is, with where the conference is, just like you said and I've said, week in and week out, the opportunity to win is going to be there. You know, and what makes it even more, I guess, intriguing is, you know, four have new coaches, Lamar being one. So, you know, trying to get a feel of what their identity is. And, you know, you look at their start compared to where they are now by winning the last two. You know, being, you know, and the last one being HCU that had gone in and beat Southeastern. So, you know, you're facing a team that right now, if you look at the standings, is on top. And so every game is going to, from here on out, is going to be important. And kind of the message, you know, has been, you know, building off last week, you want to be playing at your best at the start of conference. And so looking forward to kind of seeing the steps that we make from last week to this week against a team that's, you know, feeling pretty good about where they are right now.
We'll go down to Beaumont on Saturday. It's a place that, you know, most people probably don't think a lot about necessarily when you think of rivalries, when you think of teams Northwestern has faced. Those are the Southeasterns, the McNeeses, some of those longer held rivalries, but kind of a special place for you. Your first Southland Conference victory came there in 2018. I'm sure you're hoping you don't need a blocked extra point to get one this weekend, but some memories that are pretty good and a very wild win back in 18.
Yeah, it was. It's not the way you draw them up, but you know, it was, and you know, and to, I guess, just being the first conference game right out the chute, that's who you got, so it makes it even more, you know, not intriguing, but they're all important, but you know, you want to get that first one to get that confidence going within conference. And so, you know, it's an easy trip. It's our first, you know, we've had two road games, but, you know, one was 2 hours south and one was an hour and a half north that we left on Saturday. So, you know, the first time for this group to get on the bus, you know, we'll do everything Friday morning as far as walkthroughs and meetings, get on the bus, you know, at noon on Friday and get down to the hotel. And, you know, I enjoy those trips. You know, I think it's an opportunity for team bonding. Your guys, you know, once you know, you get there at 8 o'clock on Friday morning until you get back at 11, 12 o'clock, you know, Saturday night, it's just you guys, coaches and players. And so that's fun. You know, you got a couple hours on Friday when you don't have meetings to just kind of hang out and be with the guys. And it's really not coach to player. It's, you know, just continue to build those relationships and memories that you're going to have to carry on.
It's been a very locally heavy, you mentioned it, haven't, you know, 2 hours south, an hour and a half north. You haven't left the state of Louisiana 5 weeks into the season. I know that's something that, you know, coaches may or may not pay attention to. Is that something you can remember ever really being within Louisiana for this long to start a season? Maybe not a stretch middle of the season, but you're into October. You didn't leave the state in September.
Yeah, very seldom, you know, do you find that. And, you know, just because of, you know, unless it's a LSU, you know, playing a FBS team, you know, most of the time you are going out of state to be able to play one of those. But to be able to have Lafayette and Louisiana Tech, you know, to me, you know, as players and coaches, you know, may not look at it quite like that. You know, I guess just a Northwestern guy, just knew how important it was for the alumni, for the fans, the community to be able to travel and watch these guys play. And even, you know, we're going out of state, but you're talking a 3-hour drive. So, you know, these games have been very easy to get to, and you know, you don't have to spend a lot of time on the road to be able to get there.
So you are going overnight, but what, you know, when you talk about winning a game, important, but also winning the road trip is something I know you've mentioned in the past, and being able to do that, what does it entail to win a road trip, you know, Saturday notwithstanding?
Well, you know, there's so many things that are different. You know, even on a Saturday road game where you're not going Friday, you're sleeping in where you always sleep, you know, so, you know, getting in a hotel and being in a different environment, eating different places, you know, home games or road Saturday games, the Friday night meal's the same. Your meeting places are the same. So all these things are different that, yeah, you may not look at it and see that that's a big deal, but, you know, it does change the environment. It's a different mentality for the guys as far as where they are, but I think the flip side of that, I think you gain so much more just, being on that bus, being at the hotel together, and continuing to get to know each other, as we move forward, especially, now starting conference and getting in that stretch.
One of the guys we got to sit down and know a little bit more about, we do the Monday morning interviews and every week, and Chance Newman's got such a great story, and what a great moment for him. Not only did he tie the game with his touchdown, but something that, and there's so many guys on this roster, I think it's sitting here weekly and we can talk about a guy who's come back from adversity and from injury and from off the field setbacks that sometimes you have no control over. And I know Chance is no different, but I know that we talk about guys gravitating to guys. He's one that seems to have a pull and really brings people in.
He does, and it's just, he does it naturally. He doesn't fake it. He's not different of who he is. And that has not changed throughout the adversity that we've seen with him here. There's a lot of people that may watch the game on TV or watched it live that when he scored did not know the significance of that touchdown. But, a young man that came in as, vying for the quarterback job a couple years ago, getting injured, that kind of set him back. And, then when he came back, was fighting for the job. And then, we had some injuries at other positions, moved him to tight end, had some more injuries at another position. Now you move him to linebacker, which he had never played. And I don't know how many quarterbacks are watching, but I know this one is. And if somebody would ask me to play linebacker, which they wouldn't have, but, that's something that's totally different. And just didn't blink. And actually, was, doing whatever he could to learn it. Then we had another injury back at tight end. And so anyway, he's been moved around and put in different situations and different positions. But I tell you, you wouldn't notice it. A lot of that stuff he may keep internal, but he just every day showed up with a great mindset to get better and do what the team needed to be successful. We needed him in the jumbo package to be able to get that touchdown Saturday night. And so, he'll be able to, and he's played some tight end, had his first catch, I believe, the week before. So, he's just growing, accustomed to his new role, and, another new role at home with, with the baby that was born. And so, his life has really changed, but he has not changed as a person. And, sometimes that can be tough to do in the face of adversity.
115 guys in a room. If you had 115 Chance Newmans, how happy would you be?
Yeah, just that attitude each and every day that he brings. He's the one that, when he walks through the door, you know what to expect. And that's not always the case with me, coaches and players, but for him, that's what you get.
Well, Coach, as always, thank you for your time. We'll be back with Weston Gloucester, Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator, here on the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial.
Whether it's in the trailer, behind the camera, or on the air, NSU has a place for you. Learn the ins and outs of an ESPN broadcast while getting a full-fledged education in sports media or broadcast journalism. Northwestern State University. New media, journalism, and communication arts. Learn more at nsula.edu/new media.
Welcome back to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group, joined now by Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator Weston Gloucester. And Coach, same thing we asked Coach Laird, and he touched on, not the outcome you wanted, but your unit took huge strides forward from week 3 to week 4, with the bye week mixed in. So technically week 5, but game 4. A lot of strides from this Northwestern State defense.
We did, and a lot of good things, and still things. I know last week we talked about it, and the week before of that consistency, and once again that's kind of thing, just learning how to hit that consistent. First quarter we come out, we stone them, and we're doing a heck of a job. And first drive of the second quarter, we bust a coverage, leave a guy uncovered, and they score a touchdown. And in my opinion, that kind of changes the game, especially when you get to the end, as close of a game as it is. So a lot of good things from that, but I think it's still being able to continue. Every single play is important, and everything matters. And as you move forward to this week, learning from that game and the positives of standing up in the red zone the way we did. It was incredible. 7 red zone visits they had, only 1 touchdown, and still, being able to do well on third downs. That was a very big part for us. But just learning that mentality of every play. You don't know which play is going to change the game, and that's the thing we talked about. Still focus on us, and met with the guys Sunday, and able to talk to them in our message what we need to be. And on this show, I know we've talked about grit has been our word, but continuing to have that and to kind of break that down to the guys so they understand is number one, gratitude, and be grateful for the position we're in. We're very blessed to be able to be here and do what we do as coaches, players, everything. So don't take this thing for granted. Don't take anything for granted. Be grateful for what you have. Relentless, second part of that, and that's what our kids are learning, and how, for me, that's the part of them bowing up in the red zone in some situations where we are backed up, back against the wall. And I told them it's crazy. Sometimes an offense gets down to the 10, and I think I have more confidence with our guys just because they accept that challenge and they embrace that challenge and being relentless in what we do and our effort and our physicality. And the next thing's intensity and having, the intensity, the focus, being locked in, being intentional with our actions. And I think, and that's important for us right now more than anything, because we talk about you never know what play is going to change the game. So in practice, you don't know which play that may be. So be intentional every single play. Make practice harder than the game. That way when the game comes, it's easy. But have that intensity and then the toughness. And that's what we have to show. And I thought Saturday we began to become that physical mindset we want. I know in the rushing game, they ended up with, I believe, 73 yards rushing, which the week before against McNeese, they had a really good game. And that's what they want to hang their hat on, is to be a physical team running the ball. And we were able to, be physical at the point of attack. I know Cadillac Roan's one that stands out to me, being able to set the edge, and Jared Pedraza, Jaden Ward coming in, able to make a bunch of big tackles. Jared Pedraza's got that game started first down. They run a swing pass, and he set the tone, got the energy going. So that toughness there. But I think now more than ever for our guys is understand how to build upon the positive, correct the negatives, and be able to go in 60 minutes, play every single play. And our next challenge to the guys is one we always talk about is takeaways. We're not good, we're not bad, we're just kind of average, but we've got to be able to take the ball away. And we missed a golden opportunity Saturday in my mind down in the red zone. We drop an interception. Safety plays it great eyes, great break on the ball, hits both hands. And I showed him in the meeting room, if he catches that ball, I think he goes the distance to the house. Nobody's going to catch him. One of our fastest safeties we have, and he's not able to capitalize, and that's the difference of being able to go from good to great and things you have to do as a defense to be able to, win games and do what you need to do.
We'll go back to one of those red zone visits for them. They get down to the 1-yard line, and we'll switch this eye. You said intensity. Let's talk about intelligence. Donovan Green said this after the game. Of course, where we see a ball come out, and in a scrum like that, you don't know who forced it. You don't know if it was a bad snap. You don't know how the ball ends up on the ground. After the game, he almost, if we had a telestrator, he'd have been able to click it. But he said Chris Gistorb, the defensive line coach, pointed something out during the week, and he put that into practice in a situation where you needed it. Of course, it would have been great if you could have had a 99-yard drive on the backside, but at least you got out of there and got the ball out. But those little things, putting coaching into practice. And Donovan's a guy we've talked about almost weekly on here. That's a young man who was a walk-on here. He came from a small school, and he has made himself an integral part of this defense. And it's a mix of intelligence and physicality.
You look for Dono, and the thing for him that's big, I think this may be the third time we've talked about him on here in a short season, and had an interception against SFA, snuffed out the screen, and then there Saturday, that's a critical play in that game. They score right there on that drive. It's probably out of reach, where it's going to be very, very difficult to come back, and it gave ourselves a chance to be able to fight back at the end, but an intelligent play. And that's a credit to Coach Gistorb as well, like you mentioned, of working. We knew quarterback sneak was coming. They had scored on McNeese down there with that. They're short yardage all year. They like the old Philadelphia Eagles, pushing everybody. Don't understand that rule, but anyway, we'll get into that later. It's a little bit different. Can't do it on defense, but we can do it on offense. But, being able to swat the ball in practice, and the next level that you see what Coach Gistorb is working, and Dono continue to do, and Nazir Sayan on that play, they crawled. The quarterback's going to try and push, so if you crawl, take the lineman's legs out from under him. And because when he swatted the ball, they were both down low, they're able to recover it. And and that's a huge play. The ability to get our offense to ball back and not give up points on that drive, and that's a testament to Dono. Smart guy, a lot smarter than me, I know that, but being able to translate that onto the field and take practice drills over, and especially when that works out, it's pretty good. But
let's go back to the tush push, or whatever they're calling it now. You're an old quarterback. So if Weston Gloucester was a quarterback, that plays okay?
It may be okay. I think it was actually my freshman year of high school. I took a quarterback sneak on a 4th and 1 for like 86 yards. I think it's the most tired I've ever been in my life. But, definitely it's okay if you're on that side. But just make the rules, mirror up a little bit.
Sure. I mean, it wasn't that long ago the Bush push was illegal. And It was a big controversy that USC beats Notre Dame with it. Now it's every Sunday you see it, and more teams are starting to do it. Let's take a look at Lamar now. You're going to go in, and we've touched on this with Coach Laird. We probably touched on it with you. So many new coaches in this league. So many. Every Texas team in the Southland has a new coach. We'll see all 4 of them eventually starting Saturday with Lamar. I think it's pretty clear the deeper you get into the season, you've got more film. So it makes it a little bit, I won't say easier, but at least you have probably a little bit more familiarity now with seeing a coach and a team after 5 weeks instead of going, here, week 1, here's this new staff.
Yeah. And it's big, and I think Coach over there has done a great job. And what you see throughout the first 5 weeks is their identity of a team forming, which anytime you get a new coach, you have to figure out who they want to be. And you can obviously tell on film watching their offense. I mean, he wants to play with a physical mindset. If I was over there, I'm pretty sure it's one thing he wants to talk about, because they're going to play hard and they're going to play tough. And they have a quarterback who's very, very efficient. He's a JUCO transfer. And when you look at him in JUCO, he had, I believe, is in the 70% completion percentage range. And this year he's in the upper 60s at Lamar. So he's efficient in what he does and really makes them go. And one of the things he's really good at is he's very elusive. There have been times that teams have had him hemmed up. He's able to get out of it, extend the play. He made a Patrick Mahomes throw against Houston Christian. He kind of, 2 guys missed. He's going off to his right, slings it back across the field without looking, and it's a big play for him in that game. And so being able to put that together with the stable of running backs that they have, they've got some loads back there, and it's going to be tough on our guys and a challenge to be able to bring those guys down on first contact, because not many people have been successful doing it, and being able to get those guys down. And then they have a changeup of a back, Major Bowden, China Spring guy back from, Waco, Texas kid, but saw him last year. And I mean, he's explosive, and he's a guy that they'll flex out, use him at receiver. They'll move him around, get him the ball, in the running game, passing game, and then loaded with the big backs. Got our work cut out for us, and you can tell, like I said, the identity they're trying to move towards being that physical mindset, dominate up front, control the clock, the ball, and they had success last week doing that.
You touched on it, the elusiveness of their quarterback. What is the challenge when it comes to that, not just hemming a guy up, but in this day and age where quarterbacks are seemingly a lot more protective in terms of hits? We saw Nazir Sy made a great play to get inside and nearly forced what would have been a long 3rd down or a 4th down for Eastern Illinois. Unfortunately, when the quarterback ducked, he ended up with a handful of face masks. How do you balance, you want your guys aggressive, you want them pressuring the quarterback, but also maintaining containment and maybe avoiding a situation like that where a guy ducks, where a guy puts himself in position and you draw what could be a borderline call?
Right, and I think there's a couple parts to that, and the big thing, we'll kind of go back to Nazir, which you brought up, which would have made a huge 4th and long play. It would have taken them out of field goal range, so now they're in that buffer of what they do. Instead, it's a 1st down, and quarterback just simply ducked to avoid, and he's coming in high. And I think in that situation, you like his aggressiveness and getting back there and what we do a little bit more under control, and you're able to hit him, run through him. And that's the thing with the quarterback strike zone especially. We show them a picture of a baseball strike zone. Really letters down is where you have to be and under control on that. And the second part's the back end on that. Now, I think it's big, and you saw that hurt us on a 4th down later in that game, and it was actually the drive we ended up giving up the last field goal of, it's 4th down. We have the quarterback running for his life. Containment's there. We're able to get him, and, you have to plaster on the back end, and that's something we failed to do there. Everybody's covered up. He has to scramble out. Eyes got on the quarterback instead of on the receiver. He's able to dump it back down, and they converted a 4th down, which if we're off the field there, it's still a 1-possession game. And so it's just little things like that you have to get corrected. And so as important as it is for the front to hem him up, keep him contained, under control, be aggressive, getting there, the back end plastering in those situations is even more important because you don't want to give him that outlet. You want to make him have to keep it because the way you teach defense in your sound, you have people there, second hats to the party. Let those guys make a play, and you have to be able to plaster on that back end.
First time in 5 weeks, 5 games that this team will leave the state of Louisiana. Can you remember anywhere you've been not leaving your home state for the first 5 weeks of a season?
Absolutely a first. I can't recall that. This is definitely a first. So being able to play 5 weeks in the state, and I know Coach Laird talked about it when he talked, giving our fans a chance to be able to go to the game, be able to see this team play is huge, and then being able to go to Beaumont, go to Texas first time, and crazy first time, we're not sleeping in our beds the night before the game, which I definitely never been in week 6 total, including the bye week. So, a chance to be able to go on the road and be with the guys. I know Coach Laird mentioned it, but being able to spend that time with them and the guys spend that time together and, hang out, be able to kind of bond a little bit is going to be big, and have those extra meetings that you get on the road. And so excited about the first road trip. Wish we could stay in Louisiana another week, but being able to leave and have that bonding experience, and only a 3-hour drive, so still not too far away from home.
Yeah, and technically you cross into Texas. You're not that far from the state line on I-10. We may come down a little different way to get there, but native Texan, you get to go to your home state, and there's a lot of Texas pride over there.
A lot of Texas pride, and so being able to go back home, my family's going to be able to go, which is big, and my family get to see our guys play and go perform well, and looking forward to the challenge. Need a great week of practice this week and being able to build off what we're doing right now, and it's a big one Saturday, so excited about it. Get to go back to Lone Star State and get to play a little football. So I think it's maybe where football is invented, the real football. So.
Well, that's a debate for probably another show, and we'll have another Texan coming on, so we may not get into that side until we bring Brad Laird back next week. But we'll be back with offensive coordinator Bo Blair here on the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial.
Done here. Does anybody have any other questions?
Here's your coffee, sir. Here, take it.
Welcome back to the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial Group, joined now by Northwestern State Offensive Coordinator Bo Blair. And Coach, before we get to heading back into Texas, I know we kind of capped that with Coach Glosser, but we'll talk to another native Texan about crossing the state line this Saturday heading to Lamar. Let's look back at Eastern Illinois. And, you talked about having a bye week after some injuries, so you got some guys back healthy. Mm-hmm. One that you didn't have back was Tyler Vanderwall, so we'll look at Quatarius Hawkins and what he was able to do in his first start at Northwestern, and got to finish some drives, but at least put you in position to maintain possession and drive the ball down. Now it's about finishing.
Yes, sir, 100%. So he threw for 60%, which is really good, actually 61%, which is, we were at 40% before that, so 20% increase. Look at third down conversions. We went from 20% third down conversions to 50% third down conversions. So we're sustaining drives. We just got to finish them now. So that was the good part. Got to find a way to put it in the end zone rather than just in front of it. So.
Challenge for an offensive coordinator. You have two quarterbacks that have somewhat different skill sets. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that Tyler may do a little bit better than Q and vice versa. Yeah. What's the challenge when you do have, what's the challenge for you when you're having to game plan for different situations?
So throughout the week you try to figure out what they're good at, what they're not good at, and then when you recruited them, you knew what they were good at and what they're not good at, and so the development of that and the trust of that between coach and player coach is vital and important, and we figure out real fast in practice what they can and can't do. You try to give them the same simulation, same reps of live reps of a game, and then hopefully they pan out on Saturday.
One of those drives was a 90-yarder. You got Miles Denton involved in that one. And what does he bring, in terms of big playability? We've seen it, on paper, what he did at Central Arkansas. His first catch as a Demon goes 54 yards.
Yeah, so super athletic kid, real fast. Great kid, does everything right. He does bring that little icing on the cake of speed. Speed kills. You can't coach it. You either got it or don't. So that's what he does bring. High speed, high tempo, high energy kid, and does right. So
One of those things we talked about, that big play, that set up the touchdown that Chance Newman got, and touched on this with Coach Laird and spoke with Chance Monday morning. Everyone on this team has a story. There's 115 guys. There's 115 stories. You guys as coaches have stories. Everyone's got a story to tell. Chance's is a little bit like we've talked about on this show a lot. We've got a lot of guys who've come back from adversity and had their moment. Special moment for him. Spoke with Coach Laird, and just a guy that people gravitate to, kind of a lead, not necessarily by example, but just has this personality. How special to see him have a moment like that?
it was really good. I was excited. I was more excited for him to score than just scoring a touchdown in general. So, great kid, does everything right. I can't think of one thing negative about him. He's gone through a lot of adversity, a lot of personal things that happen in his life where he's pushed through, whether it be transferring a couple times, whether it be other things that we won't discuss on here, but he's a great kid, and people do gravitate towards him. He does right, never missed practice, never missed anything, and super excited for that kid. I mean, out of all the guys that can score, he's definitely deserved it.
I think you and I talked about with him moving around so much. He was a quarterback, then he was a linebacker. Now he's a tight end, and now he's a short yardage quarterback.
Yeah.
That's something that probably never left him, at least that part. As a quarterback, what has he taken, or what can you see that when you move from that position to other positions, what is it? What are some of the things that allow him to move around?
Yeah, he's a super cerebral, smart kid. His first time he's ever played linebacker, he played linebacker this year, and he talked about looking at it through a different lens and different eyes, and he never has any missing assignments. That's the most important thing. Good frame kid. I mean, he's 6'2", about 230, hard worker, does whatever you ask. But as a quarterback, it allows him to look in different lenses and know different things, understand different concepts. And, what he scored on was a very simplistic play, but we're going to continue to advance it with him because, like I said, he is a smart kid.
And I know as a tight end, he was so thrilled to have that first catch.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know he talked about, I think you and I may have talked about it off the air, but it was learning blocking. Because he hadn't blocked anybody, well, maybe a pitch play every now and then. But he didn't block anyone consistently. Yeah. Never really had to catch the ball. And he was kind of step by step. And I know when he caught that ball against Stephen F., there was a big moment for him too. He was just very excited because I think you said, hey coach, I caught every ball, every rep, I didn't drop one. Yeah. So little things like that. And it's got to be some of the joy that keeps things from getting really mundane.
Yeah, for sure. Because someone throws you in a new role, and you don't know if you really want that role, but you're going to do whatever best for the team. Just like him moving from quarterback to linebacker, he was going to try it regardless of the situation. He tried it for, I think it was 3 weeks to a month, and didn't pan out too well for him. And then we're like, all right, well, how can we utilize this kid? So he was a tight end. He's never blocked before in his entire life. He's only caught passes that are 5 yards away from underneath the center. So then he finally learned how to block. Finally, he's getting good at catching, and so he's definitely growing more and more. Definitely wish we would have him for a couple more years, but obviously this is his senior year. So
tight end room got a little healthier over the break. You saw Sylvester Campbell make his debut, and he wasn't the only one that got healthy, but getting him out there, that's another different dimension from that position. For sure.
So, I mean, we have, you get your prototypical tight ends, your 6'2", 6'3", 240-pound guys, and then you have, a bigger body guy, and then you have, Trevon's a more of a speed guy. So it's good to have tools that you can use and utilize and use their gifts to their ability and make sure that, they excel in it, know what they're doing, and understanding their role on the team. So it's definitely good to have Sylvester back.
Deeper that gets, deeper maybe your play calling and your packages get.
100%. Helps out the run game, helps out the pass game. It allows us to be more diverse and not as one-dimensional. So definitely helps us out to have more tools in the tool bag.
Looked like, speaking of guys that got healthy, it looked like Zach Patterson was, I don't know if he's all the way back to last year and where he was, but he looked more like the Zach Patterson we saw last year.
For sure. No, he's 100% back. Mental health's good, physical health's good, and he's ready to rock and roll. I don't know how many touches he got. I don't know how many receptions. I think it's 7 receptions.
7
something like
catches
that.
and 1 rush.
Yeah. And then I'm sure he got a slew more targets than that. So yeah, he's back. And he's a great kid. Does everything right to 100% speed, and he could have the worst day and he's still smiling. So you got to love coaching those type of kids.
What is having him back? Well, we talked about Q making his first start, and there can be some nerves there. I know he started games at Grambling. I know he started games at Jones and junior college. Obviously, he started at Bastrop High School. But to have a guy like Zach, to have that kind of really calming presence, how much does that help a first-time starter?
Well, not just Zach. I mean, our entire receiving core is pretty good. I mean, to be honest with you, you got Trevon, who's a ex-receiver playing tight end. Jaron Mitchell playing Z. I mean, he's when he was at Northern Colorado, he was consistent there. I think he had a 200-yard game. I mean, and so he's and Dennis. He's transferred from Duke, and he's from Michigan. So you take those guys and you see they all work together. They all come together. It's all about chemistry at the end of the day. I mean, the more you got to think Hawkins got here in late July. So it's all player led for 2.5 weeks, and then August. So now he's starting to feel his groove and being around those guys. But yeah, Zach does bring a presence. But I mean, our receiving core is pretty good, every one of them. So.
And then, unfortunately for Q, he had a little setback physically. He missed some time. So again,
he was out for 2 weeks with I think COVID?
Yes, of
like
course.
That. Yeah,
our favorite word.
Yeah, 100%. So he's out 2 weeks. I mean, so people don't realize. I mean, it for a quarterback and receiver, it's a lot of chemistry. Understanding what does this receiver do? What can this guy do? This O line in front of me protecting me. How much time do I got in the pocket, and where do I need to throw this ball? There's a lot of variables. Which I think he's doing a good job in taking control of. There's a lot of things that he's changed when I call plays. He changes in it, which is awesome. He's a smart kid and gets us out of bad situations.
First time this year, this team leaves the state of Louisiana. It's week 6 of the season. It's game 5.
Yeah.
Week 6. Can you remember where you've been, a time where you haven't had to leave home for a month and a half into the season?
Yeah, high school.
Yeah, outside high school.
Yeah, 2000 and that's it. 2014. That when I was coaching in high school. Yeah, definitely. That's about it. Other than that, Houston. Yeah. So 2014. Yeah. So it's been a long time.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think about. I mean, you are literally almost halfway through the year, and it'll be about 40% of the way through your schedule before you leave home.
Absolutely.
Or your home state.
Absolutely. I mean, not only that, I thought Coach Laird did a heck of a job this year and how he traveled, where I was home every night, Friday night, and every night Saturday. So we hadn't stayed in a hotel all year, so this is perfect. So, I loved it. So a little change is needed. Obviously, we're looking for a win and everything like that. So change is definitely needed. So we'll see how works on the road.
When you look at Lamar, kind of the same thing I asked Coach Glosser about this. They're 5 games in, so new staff. But again, you got a little bit more familiarity probably through tape with them than you would say week 1 or week 2.
For sure, and they do a good job defensively. They have an odd front. They also a 3-down front. They also have a 4-down front, and their back end. I mean, they have a pretty good back end. Their DN number 0 is really good. I mean, they fly around to the ball. Their defense is really good. I couldn't speak for the offense. I don't know anything about it. I haven't watched their offense. I only watched their defense. So, obviously, defensively, they do a good job of keeping everything in front of them and playing hard. So.
Almost sounds a lot like Eastern Illinois in terms of keeping things in front. You knew the chances for explosive plays last week were probably a little bit less because they were going to give you a little cushion. Is it similar to that?
Not as similar as Eastern Illinois, but they don't blitz a lot. Like I said, they're more sound in that aspect, and but they'll come up and press a little bit, but they're not, and they'll run more cover 1 than Eastern Illinois, but. As far as giving up deep shots, they do a good job of not giving those up, and there's not a lot of explosive plays that they've given up this year, so it's a good deal for them.
We touched on it, and we'll do it one more time before we get out of here. Going over to Texas, it's not Gilmer. You're going to a different part of Texas now, but you are going back to your home state, and we joke that there's a lot of pride once you cross the Sabine River over there, and I think everyone's proud of their home state. Texans maybe a little bit more so because everything's bigger in Texas. But it's got to be neat. Just you do get to go home in a sense, and to a place that I know you've been a lot as a visiting coach.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree that a lot of Texans do have big egos. I would agree to that. But if you look at, my track record where I've lived, I mean, since 2017, I've lived in Florida twice, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and now here in Louisiana. I'm, a couple stints in Texas from 2017. And so really, Texas, I mean, it's not really a home right now. But yeah, it's good to be back. I'll have some family at the game because they're close by, and it's good to be back. I mean, the air's not different, nothing like that. It's all the same. Pine trees are still the same. You'll still see pine trees, lakes, and stuff like that. So it's very similar topography that it is here. So I'm excited about getting down there, definitely, and excited about being in conference. That's the most important thing. We're 0-0 right now, hitting the conference, and see how things go.
And that's got to be an important thing. You kind of got to hit a little soft reset button with the bye week, and now you really do almost get to hit a hard reset because you touched on conference opener for you guys. Most everyone I think has played a game in conference except for Northwestern State, so it is a chance to hit the reset button almost fully.
Yeah, for sure. And the kids and coaches and community, and we all need it. We need that reset button because you start 0-0 and then you go to the playoffs, you start another 0-0. So I'm excited about it. It's good to be here, and obviously it's a conference team, so there's going to be a lot of heated moments within that game, and I'm excited about seeing these, the new coaches there, and obviously it's always good to meet new people and get it going.
You'll hit the road Friday. It's weird to say for the first time in 3 road games, hitting the road on a Friday. Well, Coach, as always, appreciate your time, and that will do it for Week 5 of the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial. We'll see you here next week on YouTube.